Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Q&A. Some of you been stressing with some stuff, and we are about to change that today, okay? I no longer want you to be stressed out. I no longer want you to be beside yourself. Like, I want you to just be able to take ownership of your career without feeling like you are losing your mind, okay? So, if that has been you, where you have been feeling like you have been losing your mind over what to do next and how to do it, I am here today to be able to give you some context, give you some clarity, help you along the way. For those of you who are new to my space, my name is Briscoe-Alba. I'm the lead career strategist at Dunamis Coaching and Consulting Services, where we teach you how to land six-figure roles through leadership development and career strategy. And today, I am so excited to connect with y'all because number one, y'all always have really good questions. But secondly, I am just I'm telling y'all this prematurely, okay? But I have had the opportunity to connect with another hiring manager, and they are hiring for a role that I am convinced that people in my tribe will know exactly what to do should they be given this opportunity. This is why I do what I do, because as new opportunities present themselves to me, they get presented to you as well. So I am so pumped to be able to just be a part of the conversation and let you know from a very realistic place what other hiring managers are expecting and the reason why they come to me to ask me for my feedback, to ask me about my tribe, to ask me if I know of any qualified candidates, because baby, we got the sauce, okay? So if that is who you are, okay, I want you to write, I got the sauce in the comments. Somebody write that in the comments. I got the sauce. Because one thing about us is we are not mediocre, okay? We may be a lot of things, but one thing we not is mediocre. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, welcome. Welcome. Okay. I'd love to know where you are joining me from. So if you are joining me for the first time, I want you to put a 1 in the chat and tell me where you are joining me from. And if you are not joining me for the first time, if you are true to this and not new to this, I want you to give me a 2 and tell me where you are joining me from. Okay. So if you are new to our world, welcome. I am excited that you're here. I cannot wait to pour into you to answer your questions and help you on your career journey. And for those of you who are joining again, you are back for more. My love, thank you so much for being here, for allowing me to pour into you in this way. Now, listen, we got some really good questions over the last couple of days. So this is what I want you to do. If you have joined a live before and you know that a live for you has been transformational, could you do me a favor and share it with someone else? Let them know, hey, listen, you want to make sure that you get on this live because Susanna's about to drop some real tea. And I don't want to be greedy. I want you to get them too. Okay. So if this is your first time, welcome. If you are not here for the first time, you've been rocking with me for a while, welcome back, friend. Would you help me to welcome everyone who is putting a 1 in the chat if you have been here for a while and you've been rocking with me? Help me welcome the folks who are new to our space. Now, if you see me looking down, it is because the questions are in front of me. I have a new setup today and we're testing some new things out. So just bear with me, but we're going to get right into some of y'all's questions. And I want you to have something to take notes with, because as I am teaching and as I am answering your questions, I may not be able to type them into the chat in real time. Okay. So make sure that you have something that you can take notes with, because I promise you that you're going to walk away with something transformational today. Okay. So getting into the first question. The first question comes in and it says, is there a secret sauce to asking your employer to pay for seminars and certifications, etc.? Okay, so if you are in a working environment, if you're with your employer and they are willing to, if there's like a conference that you want to go to, if there's workshops that you want to attend, if there are certifications that you want to go for, 9 times out of 10, your employer will likely be willing to help cover that cost. The most important thing that I need you to be aware of is what is the bottom line benefit to the organization? What is the bottom line benefit to the organization? When you can answer that question by looking at the certification or by looking at the conference that you want to go to or the training that you want to do, if you can be able to give the organization context as to how this makes you a better employee, which in turn makes them a better organization, 9 times out of 10, they will help you to cover the cost for some of that. So if that is something that you are trying to figure out, just also, I would encourage you to make sure that you have the right language. So like that, when you're asking for this type of information to attend a conference, to get some additional training, make sure that the language that you're using is relevant for the position that you want to go to. Okay. So one of the reasons that we put a letter, for those of you who are new, I'm going to give you a little bit more context because this is going to make sense. We are hosting a women's leadership conference in June. And one of the reasons that I was adamant about making sure that on the website we have a letter that you can download and give to your employer is because before they cover the cost, they're going to want to know, how is this going to make you better as an employee? And secondly, how is this going to make our organization better? Because they want to get a return on their investment. Somebody type ROI in the chat. Type ROI in the chat. And the reason that we give you the letter on the website for you to be able to download and give to your employer is because I know that you're going to get a major return on your investment when you join us at the conference. But you need to be able to articulate what is the ROI that you're going to be giving back to the organization. Okay? Because they're not just going to pay for something willy-nilly. So in the letter, we give you language surrounding what to expect, what topics are going to be covered. And then we create space for you in that letter for you to tell your employer, this is how I'm going to be able to implement what I am learning. The reason why I find some employers are not very open to allowing their people to attend conferences and such is because you go to the conference and then you don't implement what you've learned. And so I'm going to teach you how to secure the bag. Absolutely. That's what we do at the conference. But I also need you to know how to implement the strategies that I'm giving you as you secure the bag. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about when I say ROI. You have to be willing to display what type of ROI you're going to give back to the organization. Okay. So I hope that answered the question. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. For my YouTube fam, my LinkedIn fam, my Facebook fam, I see some of y'all are in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm actually going to be teaching in Raleigh this week. I'm so excited. I'm going to be in North Carolina this week teaching, and I cannot wait. It's going to be so good. I wish I had more time because I would just meet y'all out there like, girl, let's hang out. But I'm only going to be there for a couple of hours. All right. So next question is, do you have a resume template and cover letter examples, or can you provide? So here's a couple things, because there are several of y'all that are asking me in terms of like, what do I do with my resume? How do I make sure that my resume stands out? Couple things that I want you to remember, and this is where I want you to take notes, because I'm going to tell you the format that I share in terms of what your resume should look like. So like that, your resume is easy to follow, okay? The first thing that I'm going to tell you when it comes to your resume, the first fourth of the page, okay? So now let's assume that you and I are looking at a resume together. The first fourth of that page is the part where it's going to be most important. That first fourth should have your contact information. It should have your LinkedIn profile if you have one. You should have a title that you are either applying for or what you want to be known as, right? So what is your target, your tagline? And then it should have your professional summary, followed by your expertise. That is the first fourth. The reason that that becomes so important is because we spend about 6 seconds, a hot 6 seconds, looking at your resume. And so if I have to dig very, very deep to see how you are a good fit for the role, chances are I'm going to move on to the next candidate who has it plain. Okay, like right up top. So that's one of the things that I teach my clients often. Keep it short, keep it sweet, but keep it impactful. And so at the first fourth, I should know your name, your contact information. I should see a professional summary, and then I should see what is your technical toolkit, is what I call it. Pretty much what are the systems, what are the functionalities, the hard skills that you have that make sense for the role. Then after that, we're going to move into your professional experience. Here's another rule of thumb. For every 10 years, 1 page. For every 10 years, 1 page. So some of you are struggling with trying to get a new position, and 9 times out of 10, you are listening to people who are telling you, try to condense everything to a single page. So like that, though, it'll pass the ATS. Some of y'all really do need a second page. Okay? Some of y'all really do need a second page. So like that, you are giving more context. But for every 10 years, it should be 1 page. Okay? And then followed by your professional experience that is relevant to the role that you are applying for. That is where, after you've done that, you're going to put your education, certifications, and things of that nature. Okay? So I hope that that brought clarity for you. First fourth, I want you to give me your contact information, a professional summary, quick overview of what your hard skills are, followed by your professional experience that is relevant to the role that you are applying for. So what does that mean? If you were a if you were an insurance agent back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, okay? And now you're applying for a completely different role, and it's not even in insurance. It's like the complete opposite of that. If it's not relevant to the new role, please don't include it on your resume, because then you're taking up a whole lot of space that we are going to be figuring out, like, why is this here? I rather you leverage your experience from that insurance world during your interview so that you have something to talk about. Okay, so that if they ask you a question, can you tell me about a time that you had to deal with this, this, and this, and you don't know, you can say something like, you know, that's a really good question. I'm not entirely sure how that plays out in this type of environment, but in my previous experience, I had something similar with, and then insert your story. Okay, so this is why I tell you to keep it short, keep it brief, keep it relevant. Somebody write relevant. Keep it relevant. Because if you're telling me about the time that you were a supermarket manager, and then you were a lifeguard, and then you were surfing, and then you jumped out of, you went to space, like, how is this relevant to the role? Like, make it make sense. Okay, so I want you to keep it to relevance. All right, I'm seeing y'all type relevant. Okay, moving on to the next question. Okay, this question is actually a really good one, because this individual this is their first time going into a 6-figure role. Okay. And here's one of the things that I want you to understand when I'm talking about 6-figure roles. So my tagline in telling you who I am, what I do, how I serve people, is that I teach you how to land 6-figure roles. But here is one thing that I want you to be very aware of. Making 100K looks very different for those who are making 300K. the level of demand, the level of expertise, the way that you show up looks real different. So you have to be aware of where you fall, because it's one thing to make 100K and this be your first breakthrough role, and I will coach you through that. Yes, girl. It's another thing entirely when you are at the 300K level and now you got higher ups reporting into you. So now you got VPs of VPs reporting into you. That is a whole different dynamic. So unless you've not been able to mature certain aspects of your personality, of the way that you articulate, of the way that you show up, if you jump prematurely, baby, you will be like what I understand. There are some folks that they have a title, but they don't know what they're doing. Has anybody been there? Or they have the title and they leave a lot to be desired. If you've ever encountered that type of person, I want you to type a 3 in the chat. And here's the thing, no judgment, no judgment to them. But I want you to be aware. If you follow me, I do not want you to be in these types of rooms and spaces not knowing how to articulate yourself well, because it's already been a struggle for those of us who look like me, for those of us who have shades of melanin in our body. So when you show up, I need you to show up unapologetically, but I need you to show up strategically. And this is why I'm hosting a conference, so I could teach you how to do that. Okay. So the question is, how do you suggest coming across more senior than you actually are? I'm going to unpack that first statement in a little bit. They go on to tell me that they found a six-figure opportunity that seems tailor-made for them, but the responsibilities are greater than the ones that they've had. Okay. They've been a manager and a consultant, but this would be a director role and they've never earned 6 figures. Okay. So here's the thing that I want you to be aware of. The first part of this question said, how do you suggest coming across more senior than you actually are? I would rather you come across as novice but confident in your work instead of coming across as more senior. And the reason that I'm making that distinction is because I know of people who are more senior and still don't understand how to do the basics. Okay? I would encourage you to be more emotionally intelligent and more aware of the dynamic, more than just coming across as more senior. Okay? Is this making sense? Is this making sense? Because I know some people who are more senior, but they are not emotionally intelligent. Matter of fact, they say some stuff that comes out of left field that you're like, ooh, you said that out loud, didn't you? You probably shouldn't have said that. So what I would much rather you do is develop your ability to be more emotionally intelligent. The reason why is because when you start leading a team and you want to lead effectively, the higher your EQ, the more likely your team will thrive, because you have been paying attention to those elements that are important for your EI, emotional intelligence. Okay. So I rather you, my love, come across intelligent, come across confident in your work. This is why if you're new to me, I'm going to tell you something that my tribe who's been rocking with me knows for a while. You need to know your data. You need to know your data. So if you're landing your first 6-figure opportunity, do not walk into these spaces without knowing your data, without knowing what is the work that you do and the outcomes that you've provided, without knowing what are the needs of the organization and how you add value. Okay, without knowing if you were to continue to ascend and now you have the opportunity to hire, who would you bring and why? These are things that leaders who are moving up into that 6-figure realm, we think about that kind of stuff often. I'm going to give you an example. Have you ever been at an organization where a new leader starts and then all of a sudden they have a whole bunch of people that they bring with them? Has that ever happened to anybody? Has that ever happened to anyone where a new leader has started at your organization and now all of a sudden they're bringing their people? You know why? Because we operate that way. Six-figure earners, we just think differently. And it's not that it's always right, because I've been under the management of other six-figure earners, and they pass up talented people because they have their people already in line. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying that that's just the way that we think. So you have to be willing to think more strategically. The reason why some people have such a hard time landing six-figure roles is because you got a five-figure mentality. Ooh-wee. I'm going to say that one more time. The reason why some people have a hard time landing six-figure roles is because you're still operating under a five-figure mentality. And so for some people who are operating under that five-figure mentality, you're operating from a place of scarcity and you're operating from a place of lack. Okay? But when you have started to think like a six-figure earner, the money comes in your mind before it comes into your hand. If you don't know how to operate, how to control your emotions, how to articulate your value, if you don't know what is your unique value proposition, your UVP, if you don't know how to operate as the enterprise of one, because that's who you are, when you get to a six-figure role, you will struggle because you're thinking from a five-figure level. And because you've been able to survive and in some cases thrive in chaos, when you step into peace, you don't know what to do. So if you're new here, let me tell you that struggle is not the standard. But you need to think like you gotta attack some of the stuff up here. Because what will happen is that you will destroy with your hands. Or I will say this, you will destroy with your feet what you worked so hard with your hands to build. Because you'll get so caught up in what other people are saying. Because you'll get so caught up in how emotional other people are acting. The biggest part to leadership is understanding how to lead yourself. Again, this is the reason why I'm hosting a conference for women, because this is the type of stuff that nobody is teaching you. And if you're lucky enough, like you figure it out, right? You kind of have to figure it out on your own. I'm here to change that narrative. I don't want you to figure it out on your own. You want to know what's the cheat code to your career? Having a mentor or having a sponsor that will make room for you when others have tried to block you off. That's how we move up. Okay? Especially in our circle. So to answer the question, I found the six-figure opportunity that seems tailor-made for me, but the responsibilities are greater than the ones that I have. That is actually a good thing. You know why? Because that allows for you to display that you have room for growth. So if you are in a position where you're applying for a six-figure role, you know all the duties, you know how to do the job. Now, what I want you to do is highlight the value that you bring and the growth that you're expecting. Because this is how you go wide, but you can also go deep. One of the things that women struggle with is that you feel like you can apply for certain roles because you don't fit all of the criteria. I was just having this conversation with a CIO. You don't apply to certain positions because you feel as if you don't meet all of the criteria. And you want to know what the CIO told me? Again, this person has direct access to the head of the organization. And as we were talking, he's like, the reason why we have created this opportunity is because we want to diversify the applicants that are coming in. But also, I don't want them to feel like they need to meet every single box. Can they do the job? Are they good at what they do? And will they bring about change? Those are the three things that they're looking for at a six-figure level. If you are answering yes to those three questions, it is likely that you're qualified. I feel like I had a church moment right there. So if I took you to church, I want you to type church in the chat. If I took you to church in that moment, I want you to type church in the chat, because ladies, I promise you, once we have the Scale to Six Women's Leadership Conference, you are going to walk out of that room completely unstoppable. Like there is nothing that you cannot do. There may be limitations. There may be people who are in the way, but a woman who has made a decision to strategically impact and change her life is like she just moves different. This is why I'm telling you that before you get to a six-figure level, it starts with how you think. When I ascended into my first six-figure role, I knew exactly who I was bringing with me. So for me, it was never a matter of when or how. It was a matter of when I get here, these are the people that I'm bringing up with me. To my benefit, the people that I was bringing with me were skilled at their work. So not only did they have a high EQ, they were also really good at what they did. So that helps. All right, I gotta keep going. This is another question that I get a lot in my DMs. How do you know when it's time to move on? How do you know when it's time to move on? I'm a big believer in being practical. Okay. So when you are in a work environment and you're trying to figure out, do I stay or do I go? There's a couple things that I want you to evaluate, especially as women, because a lot of my following is women. There's a couple things that I want you to evaluate. The first thing that I want you to pay attention to is are you bringing work home? And when I say, are you bringing work home, I'm not meaning physical work. I am meaning emotional work. Meaning, do you get home and you are highly irritable? You can't stop thinking about what happened in the office. You wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats because the thought of going into the office is stressing you out, or the thought of logging into Microsoft Teams makes you lose your mind. That is an indication your body is telling you, I need you to pay attention to this. Okay. So I want you to pay attention to, are you bringing that type of work home? I knew it was time for me to go when my emotional responses at work, my emotional responses at home were triggered and impacting the most important relationships in my life, which are my husband and my son. Most important relationships in my life. And so at the slightest question of anything, I was like, what do you want? Stop calling my name. Why are you bothering me? If that is your response to your family, please pay attention. Because your family, should something happen to you, they lose you. Your employer, should something happen to you, will have a 60-second moment of silence and then find someone to fill the role. So when you are trying to identify, is it time for me to stay or is it time for me to go? Start to pay attention to what are those triggers that your body is making you aware of. And then physically, for me, I found myself eating a whole lot. Like so much so that I could polish through a full tub of ice cream and not think twice. Why? Because it was easier for me to deal with the ice cream. The ice cream wasn't going to talk back to me. It wasn't going to fight me. I wasn't like, It would just put a temporary band-aid to something that I was dealing with. So pay attention to that. I'm a very different person now. Very different. Hence the reason why I teach. So pay attention to what are the emotions and how you're responding to the most important relationships in your life. What is your squad looking like? One of the things that I'm going to be teaching at the conference is the importance of developing your squad. Because we've been lied to, ladies. We've been lied to in that we've been told that you can do everything by yourself. You don't need the help of anybody else. When I have peeled back to look at the successes that I've had in my life, I very rarely did them by myself. Very rarely I did them by myself. I had a squad. And I find it so interesting that we struggle with loneliness because we've been told that we can do it by ourselves. And yet in the workplace, we suffer from trust issues because we won't let anyone in. The reason why I'm also so adamant about this conference that I'm putting on is because I need you to develop your squad. Some of my squad members were there from the very beginning. Some of my squad members were there for certain seasons. You need to know when it is time for you to amplify your squad. And you need to know who has access to you, because not everyone should have access to you in the same way. I'll say that again. Not everyone should have access to you in the same way. So you need to identify your squad. You need to be strategic about how you build that squad. And you need to place them in certain areas that will help you to grow and develop. It is also important for you to identify who your squad is, because in the moments where you're trying to figure out, do I stay or do I go? That's not a decision that you should make in a silo. You should have your own board of directors that you talk things through with. Because in the moments where I was leaving opportunities prematurely, it was members of my squad that were like, you need to stay right there, because there's character development that needs to happen. I know it sucks right now, but if you don't go through it, you won't be able to master it. And that was hard. That was hard. Because I was just like, girl, you're supposed to be on my side. What do you mean I'm supposed to stay there? But again, as I look back, I'm so thankful for their guidance and their wisdom. Because in the seasons where I had to go through it, I can now teach you. Had I not gone through it, I probably would be still stuck in the same position. Before I go on to the next question, have you ever met those types of people where they seem to be struggling with the same problem 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and it's like, what's happening? Why are we still here? Squad development. Squad development. The other reason why your squad becomes so important, I did not start earning that 6-figure mark until I changed my circle in terms of earners. The only reason that I knew that 6 figures was available to me is because the squad that I cultivated in a certain season, when it was time for me to pivot, they were already ahead of me and they were giving me game. So this is why it becomes so important for you to identify who is in your squad. So like that, when you need to make decisions in terms of, is it time for me to go? Is it time for me to stay? You have wise counsel. Some people will tell you, oh girl, you should stay there. Absolutely. You should stay there. You never know when the doors will open. Don't rush it. But some people will tell you that because they only want to keep you at a level where you're not doing better than they are. And the moment that you start to do better than they are, they're just like, you've changed. And it's like, absolutely. I'm supposed to change. We're human. We grow, we morph, we evolve. But some people don't like you. They like the version of you that they can manipulate. Y'all, that was a gem right there. Some people don't like you. They like the version of you that they can manipulate. And so if you find yourself in that type of squad where you feel like you constantly have to perform, it's time to reevaluate. Time to reevaluate. All right. Yo, I'm coming in hot today. But I hope that this is helping you to reevaluate. This is what I mean by taking ownership of your career. I hope that this is helping you to a very real degree. Because I can't go into what it looks like to build your squad. But I want you to understand that not everyone should have access to you in the same way. And some people only like a version of you that's easy to manipulate because it silences or it keeps their trust or control issues in play. We're not trying to do that. All right, next question. Let's see. Oh, y'all, not for nothing, but that was powerful. I hope that freed somebody today. Some people will like, baby, listen. Okay, this is a very important question, especially given this hiring market. I want you to be aware. It says after 3 rounds of interviews, there is still no transparency about how much the salary is. Should I bring it up or should I wait? After 3 rounds of interviews, there's still no transparency surrounding the salary. Should I bring it up or should I wait? My recommendation is going to be to do your research and get an idea of what is the possible salary for said role. That's number one. And number two, my second recommendation is going to be to find people that you can connect with that are in that role that you are interviewing for so that you can have a sense of what the salary is. And then the last thing that I would suggest is that you can ask about the salary, but if we've been playing this game now for 3 rounds, my question is going to be, how much more are we going to play this game? Because if you're not willing to be transparent in 3 rounds, what else are you not willing to be transparent in? Is that the culture that I'm walking into? Because that, if it were me, it would be a hard pass. Okay? So I hope that answered the question. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm trying to read through the questions that I have. Next question is, when asked how I dealt with a difficult coworker, I'm a nurse. And I delegated a task to a PCA. I'm not sure what that is, but she mouthed off to me and walked away. I walked behind her to hold her expectation, and that was it. They later moved off my unit and I didn't work with her anymore. What is the response to say how I dealt with it? Oh, thank you. Somebody put it in the chat. Okay, nurses. I'm here for it. Thank you for helping your girl out. Okay, so when you are answering any behavioral question, I want you to think of 2 frameworks. Either of these 2 are going to be a good way to articulate and to channel your thoughts, okay? The first is going to be the STAR method. Tell me about the situation. Tell me what was the task that you gave this individual. What were your action steps? Okay? What were your action steps? Not their behavior. What were your action steps? And then what was the result? Star. Situation, what was the task? What were your action steps? And what were your results? So if I were dealing with someone who mouthed off, I probably wouldn't say it that way during the interview, but the situation was that I was working with a PCA. I gave her insert task, or I gave him insert task, and they did not enjoy, or they did not have a favorable response to what I was asking them to do. My steps were, what were your steps? Okay. What did you do? And then what were the results? Good, bad, or indifferent? Okay. If they were good, wonderful. If they were bad, then that gives you more conversation to have. Here's what I don't want you to do. Don't lie. Okay. So if this individual ended up moving into a different department, that is totally fine. But at least now you've created a system. Should this happen again, you are prepared. Can you see now how you've flipped that on its head, instead of just telling me, oh, well, they moved off and they ended up going in another department, and thank God I never have to work with them again. You know what that does for me as a hiring manager? Red flag. Red flag. Because why don't nobody want to work with you? Okay. And I had to tell this to somebody recently, and I'm thankful that the people that I work with love me, and I love them. But if the common denominator is you in all of the problem, I need you to do some self-reflection. Because if you've worked at 10 places and all 10 places were a horrible, hellish nightmare, there is some serious reflection that we have to pay attention to. Are there areas within your character that we need to develop? Are there behaviors that perhaps need to be adjusted? Okay, let us know. Are there certain traumas, workplace traumas, that now have become so routine to you that you don't realize you do them? Okay, so I need you to pay attention. I need you to pay attention to those things. All right. Next question. And then I want to get to your questions in the chat. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this question, yes, I am saving this live. The live will be on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Where else am I? On Facebook and on Insta. So you have plenty of places that you can catch your girl. Sidebar. Somebody sent me a picture of them rewatching a live, and it was like on a real TV, and I can't tell you what that did for my emotions. I was like, "Oh Lord, that is a very big screen, and that is my very big face." I'm telling you, it was all in my head. Anyway, question is, how would you deal with a toxic environment? Okay, how would you deal with a toxic environment? Workplace politics, backstabbing, sabotage, toxic manager. I am going to be talking about all four of those things at the conference. And I don't know that I have enough time to kind of unpack all of those in our conversation today. When it comes to workplace politics, sis, I'm gonna need you to know how to play the game. And for some of y'all, you're like, Susanna, I don't want to play the game. I just kind of want to do this, that, and the third. And what I would say to you is, have you ever been in a position where you're like, how did this person get this job? And like, they're not even the most qualified. Has that ever happened? How did this person connect with this individual? And here I am doing all of their work, and like, they keep bypassing me. You need to have a strategy, especially in today's market. You really do need to have a strategy. And I am going to give you one. But if you are not willing to play the game to a certain degree, you will find yourself in a constant rigmarole. And you get to a point where it's like, I'm tired of playing this game. I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. In that case, you know what I've done? I got tired of playing the game and then I created my own table. And in certain spaces, when they didn't give me a seat at the table, I just brought a folding chair. Oh, because you can't miss Susanna Alba. Like I'm just that girl. But when it comes to workplace politics, there are going to be certain things that you will have to identify. Which things do I want to get involved in? And which things do I want to get involved in? And which things will I not tolerate? I can't dictate that for you. But here's what I can tell you. A well played after work happy hour can have endless impact in your career. Again, well played. I don't need to be at all of them. I just need to be at the right one. That's how you play the game. And the more that you are willing to be strategic about how you play the game, the more you become privy to when the culture is changing. So, like that, instead of getting ready, you have stayed ready. Okay. For those of you who are asking in the chat, where is it going to be held? It's going to be held here in New York. The conference location is about 2 hours outside of New York City. We will be in Poughkeepsie, New York at the Doubletree Hotel. It'll be June 25th and June 26th. I'd love to have you. We still have some spots available. We have women that are coming from all over the country. The last I checked, I have people who are coming from Cali, from Atlanta, from North Carolina, from Virginia, from Texas. It will not be streamed, so you won't be able to see it on any of the platforms. It will all happen in person, and this is intentional because I want you to understand what it means to build a network in real time. In real time. In Maryland, yes, people from Maryland who are coming. So it's going to be a good time. So if it's something that you need this kind of professional development, you need this kind of support, know that the conference registration is open. You're more than welcome to join us. Again, the conference will not be held virtually. It's going to only happen in person. We just don't have the bandwidth to do it virtually. So if you want to join us, you might want to consider joining us in person. It's going to be happening in my home state in New York. We will be in Poughkeepsie June 25th and June 26th. And we are just going to have a really good time. We're going to have a really good time. The early bird registration is open now, so you can save yourself some coin. You can save yourself some coin if you register now. But yes, most definitely. So yeah, I'm sorry, I went on a tangent, but I'm trying to read through all of y'all's questions. Okay, so here's the thing. I see a couple of questions that have come in. Hey, listen, we're international. I just saw somebody from Canada is joining us. Come on. Yes, I love that for us. It's going to be so good. Let me just give you some context as to what is going to be happening. On the first night that you get there, we're going to be having our networking reception and kind of like our ball. So I am asking you to get dressed to the nines, okay? I want you to look your best and then put on your most favorite and comfortable sneakers, okay? Because it's a sneaker reception. So we want you to be well fed. I want you to feel good. I want you to eat good. So that's going to be our first night. That's going to be our networking reception. After the networking reception, those who register early, if you enjoy these kinds of lives, we will be doing what I'm calling a fireside chat. So after that networking reception, those who register early, you will have your opportunity to ask me your question one-on-one and get coached with me one-on-one after that. That's the night that we end. Okay. And then the next day we start our conference. We're going to give you breakfast because I need you to be well fed. Okay. Food is my love language. Okay. So you're going to eat well at this conference, but we are going to make sure that you eat well. We're going to start off with breakfast. Then we go into the keynote, which I am preparing for, and I can't wait to share with y'all. And then you'll be taught by several other industry professionals who know what it is to deal with industry politics. They know what it is to deal with ascending. They know how to make the transition from their first 100K to 500K. So we are going to be really pouring into you, and then we're going to give you time for you to reflect in terms of where you want to go next. What is your next best move going to look like? So those 2 days are going to be jam-packed with a lot of subject matter material that not only will benefit you in your career, but also will benefit your organization as you become a sharper leader. Because remember, managers, some of them lead with a closed fist, while leaders lead with an open hand. Okay, so the first kickoff starts on the 25th with registration. Registration opens at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we close registration. Then we go to our networking reception. And then we start the day again on the 26th at around 9:15 with breakfast. And then we get into it. It's got, y'all, just go to the website and see if it's something that you think you want to be at. Because it really is going to be a good time. And I'm really excited to be able to connect with y'all. So let me get into y'all's question. Question here is, growing in your career in local government seems harder because there's less negotiation. Is that true? When it comes to growing in your career, I want you to pay attention to what you consider growth. Because if the only thing that you consider growth being is a paycheck, you will always live paycheck to paycheck. So when you are thinking of growth in your career, it cannot just be money. Because at the end of the day, what is the point of making all this money and still feeling unfulfilled? So if you are in a local government and it seems harder because there's less negotiation, I would challenge you to rethink what does success look like for you in that type of environment, and then go after that. So I hope that answered your question. Wepa, hold on one second. Okay, next question is, hi, in a CV, is it best to put skills, technical, analytical, and soft before putting your experience? I would say on your CV, it's probably best for you to give me your technical skills quickly. I typically encourage you to put them after your summary. The reason being is because if there is a technical functionality to the role that I am hiring for, I just want to make sure that you have some technical skills, maybe not all of the ones that I'm looking for, but definitely ones that will make impact for where I'm trying to take the organization. So hope that helped. Question here is, should we omit experience that we worked more than 15 years ago? I wouldn't. I would say be strategic about where you're putting that information. Leverage that experience from 15 years ago into your storytelling. One of the reasons that people don't get into the next view or into the next phase of interviews is because they've not leveraged their ability to tell a story and tell a story well. And so if you have over 15 years of experience, 20 years of experience, I can guarantee that the experience that you have has been foundational for where you are. Leverage that. Okay. Question here is, what kind of question can I ask after an interview? My love, if you go through my page, there are several reels where I give you like questions to ask after an interview. So I wish I had more time to kind of unpack that, but if you go to my page, you will be able to see tons and tons of information on what questions to ask. Actually, in the last 6 or so posts that I've had, you'll be able to get that answer. Question is here, how long should it take an organization to give feedback after the 3rd stage of interview before the final stage? Okay. In this environment, I would say give yourself anywhere between 30 to 45 days. The reason that I say that is because you are not the only candidate that they're interviewing. Let's be real about that. And let's also be real that life happens. So while you had your third interview, there still are probably other candidates that they are interviewing. So while you are still at that third and you're waiting to hear back, they have to make it through the other candidates to get them to that third. So this is why I tell people 30 to 45 days. And the other thing that you should be doing is you should be applying to other roles instead of just waiting to hear back from that one position. You want to make sure that you have more options. Okay. So I would say 30 to 45 days. And in this market, it could take a little bit longer, but don't just sit and wait. Continue to apply, continue to build that momentum. Question here is what is the best to send a thank you letter to a group panel after an interview? If you're interviewing with a panel, you will be able to tell who is leading that panel just by the questions that they ask, the way that they greet you, the way that they may be taking notes. You'll be able to identify who is leading the panel. And I would send the thank you to that individual and then mention the rest of the team. So if I were leading the panel and you were the candidate that was interviewing with me, you could send something like, thank you so much, Susanna, for this opportunity to connect with you. It was great getting to know you and the other members of the team. Please give them my thanks as well, especially if you don't know all of their names, all of their titles. And 9 times out of 10, that is actually quite normal because you're nervous. You're probably not writing down everybody's name and everybody's title. And some of these, listen, hiring managers, for those of you who are watching me, I say this with a lot of love in my heart. Please stop having panels with 45 people on them. It's hard enough to make a decision with one. We surely do not need to have a panel interview with more than probably 4 people. Okay? So if it's going to take 45 people, let's talk through that. Okay? For your sake and for that of the candidate. Cuz you ain't got that kind of time. Okay. Let's see. Next one. Question is here. I've done several interviews. I've done PowerPoint presentations, all the jazz. And it's been over a month. I haven't heard back from them. Should I move on? Absolutely. I would move on, my love, because you never know what next opportunity is waiting for you. And so while they are trying to figure out what they want to do, that does not mean that you need to put yourself on pause. I know that finding a job right now is hard. I know. You know why I know? Because I meet with y'all and y'all tell me all the time how hard it is. But I also know that it is not impossible for you to get hired in this market. So if you are on the market to find a new opportunity, please stop waiting for someone else and continue to take that ownership. If it's been over a month, my love, freshen up your resume and start looking for new opportunities. Because if they respond to you and get back to you, awesome. But that does not mean that you've stopped or put yourself on pause waiting for somebody else. Okay. This is a really good question in terms of how would you foster greater rapport with your team during periods of collective stress? How would you foster greater rapport with your team during periods of collective stress? The first that I'm going to suggest is make sure that you are taking care of you. And that sounds counterintuitive, but the reason that I'm telling you first to make sure that you are taking care of you is because if you cannot learn to regulate your emotions and regulate your form of thinking, if everything is doom and gloom for you, your team will pick up on that and they will continue to operate in that same space. We don't want that. So make sure that you are actively and intentionally taking care of you. Secondly, make sure that you are checking in with your team. People will very much forget what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So in the moments of high stress, make sure that your team feels 4 things: seen, valued, heard, and equipped. In the moments of high stress, make sure your team experiences those 4 things: seen, valued, heard, and equipped. I'm going to give you an example of what that is. In my previous life, in my previous role, we were moving at 9 million miles per hour. And the role that I had, my frontline staff used to see a lot of turnover because it was a lot of high rate, it was a lot of traveling, and they were tired. And when they would come back to the office, 9 times out of 10, something changed and nobody told them. So once I took over that team, knowing what I knew about that team, I started to get very intentional about listening to what was bothering them. That's number one. And secondly, I would ask them, if you could fix it, what would that look like? And I would actually take those suggestions down. Leaders, hear me. When your team is giving you a suggestion, take a few minutes to pay attention to what it is that they are telling you. Because the answer to the problem that you are dealing with might very well be on the lips of the individuals who are dealing with this problem day in and day out. So listen. Secondly, share information as you get information. I used to tell my team this all the time, and I still tell my team now is virtual, but I still tell them this all the time. If I can share it with you, I will let you know. But you have to trust that there will be things that I can't share, or it's not time for you to know. So share information as you receive it. Okay. And lastly, try to create an environment where if there are high levels of stress, give them resources that they can leverage to minimize that. Okay. So if that means that your team is working late one night and they're working on a project until like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, could you give them time in the morning? Can they come in later? Can they leave earlier? Acknowledge that, because I promise you, when you create that type of culture, they'll be like, I want to work for you and only you. But if you push too hard during high levels of stress, you may find yourself by yourself. Okay. But that was a really great question. Oh man. Question here is, what's the best way to get up to speed for a new role so that others don't think, how did she get this position? What is okay, so I think it's that this person, I think this person got a new position and they're worried about what other people may say. My encouragement to you again would be, pay attention to your squad. How can you ask questions to people who are either in the role that you are ascending into or have transitioned out of that role and they've seen success? Start asking them questions so that you can get up to speed. So yeah, listen, y'all had some really, really great questions today. Y'all always have good questions, but I hope that you were able to get something away from this conversation. I hope that you feel much more equipped than you were when you first joined me today. And for those of you who are new to my space, I hope that this was helpful to you. Welcome. You are welcomed here. I will continue to do my best to teach you as well as possible. If you're interested in joining us for the conference, you can either go to, I'm going to pin, hold on one second. I'm going to drop the link for those of you who are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I'm going to drop the link where you can get more information on the conference. It's happening June 25th, and June 26th in Poughkeepsie, New York. Registration is now open. If you register early, you'll be able to join me at the fireside chat where you can ask me your question one-on-one. I can coach you in real time. For those of you who want to join, I'm going to drop the link here on Instagram. Y'all, I need like a moderator because my fingers and my hands trying to keep up, it's no joke. So if you're getting a weird angle of me, just love me through it, okay? Just love your girl through it. All right, I just dropped the link for you to check out the conference. I can't wait to welcome you there. For those of you who have already registered, oh my love, the joy that awaits you. For those of you who would like to join and you're just like, I'm not entirely sure how do I get there? I need help. Visit the link, because at the link, I give you a letter that you can give to your employer to help you to cover the cost for professional development. 9 times out of 10, your employer will have a professional development budget that you can leverage. So make sure that you are equipped, okay? And you get all of the details. You'll see who the speakers are. You'll get an idea of what we're going to be talking about. And yeah, I honestly am really excited to be able to teach in real time, to be able to coach in real time. And it's going to be amazing. For those of you who have been asking me, will you look at my resume? Do you write resumes? Can you help me with my cover letter? Can you give me feedback on my LinkedIn? That is also a service that we provide. That is one of the things that my agency does. So if that is the type of service that you're looking for, just send me a DM on any of these platforms. You can email me at info@susannaalba.co. And we will send you information on how we help you either rewrite your resume, or if you just need somebody to give you their professional professional overview of your resume. That is something that I also do. So know that you have those resources available to you. Do not choose to stay stuck. Okay? Staying stuck is a choice. I'm giving you the resources so that you don't have to do that. Okay? So I love y'all. Have the most amazing rest of your week. And I will catch you on the next one. Okay? Yes. Oh my goodness. See, thank you so much, Christina. Let's try that one more time. The C is missing. It is, oh Lord, help your daughter. I told y'all I need I need a moderator because my fingers are not always cooperating as fast as my brain is. Conference. Okay, I think I got it. Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully it works. But listen, if you want to join the conference, just send me a message. I will send you all of the details. It's going to be a good time, June 25th and June 26th. I can't wait to see you there. We will be feeding you breakfast, lunch, and snacks on the second day, and we will be giving you food to eat on the night of the reception. So you are going to be well taken care of. I promise you. Okay. All righty, my loves. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.